Today was the last of 3 wonderful days in Dartmoor, so for my final day I decided to spend it by visiting one of Dartmoor's pretty market towns. Chagford is on the northeast edge of Dartmoor, close to the River Teign. It is located off the A382, about 4 miles west of Moreton Hampstead. The name Chagford comes from the word chag, meaning gorse or broom, and the ford indicates its importance as a crossing place on the River Teign. Archaeological remains confirm that a community has existed here for at least 4,000 years. In historical times, Chagford grew due to the wool trade and from tin mining in the area. A weekly market was held here from before 1220, and a livestock market in the town survived until the 1980s. In 1305, it was made a stannary town where tin was traded. Among the most prominent tin mining families in the 16th century were the Endicotts, Nattadons, Widdens and Lethbridges. Today, Chagford is a thriving community with high property prices, busy streets and an unusually wide range of shops for a town of this size, although not immune to national trends, having lost its post office and banks. 2 large hardware stores side by side in the town square were run by the same 2 families for over a century, but one of these closed earlier in 2017. It is also known for its arts community, celebrated through the Autumn Chagford Film Festival, the Springtime Chagford Literary Festival, the Summer's Chagstock Music Festival, the annual Wonderworks Crafts Weekend, and other regular cultural events. There are several tea rooms and whole food cafes, 1 Bangladeshi restaurant and 4 pubs. The 3 Crowns, once an old manor house belonging to Sir John Whiddon, was described by famous clergyman and writer Charles Kingsley as a beautiful old mullioned and gabled perpendicular inn, and in 1952 was registered as a building of historical and architectural interest. Built of Dartmoor granite in the 13th century, the 3 Crowns retains a wonderful sense of history, with its great open fireplaces and fine oak beams still in their original state of preservation. It was in the unusual stone porch that young Sidney Godolphin, aged 32, cavalier and poet, and described as one of the 4 wheels of Charles I's wain, was killed during a skirmish with the Roundheads in 1642. He died on one of the stone seats in the sides of the porch. The Anglican parish church of St Michael the Archangel was dedicated in 1261, although little remains from this period. In front of the altar lies the tomb of Mary Whiddon, Sir John Whiddon's granddaughter, where the stone slab set in the floor states, "Behold a matron, yet a maid," leading historians and romantics to presume that Mary was killed on her wedding day, possibly by a jealous lover. The truth is uncertain, but remains one of Chagford's most enduring and endearing mysteries. Well, I've had a nice little look around Chagford. On with the walk now. From the town centre, I walked along New Street. Cottages line the narrow street, most of them with carefully attended window boxes and hanging baskets. Soon I followed a footpath ascending to Nattadon Common. The climb was a steep one. Ooh, this is a tough climb, but I think this should be the steepest part of the entire walk today, so some wonderful views though. At last I reached the top, so here I stopped to admire the views. I could see Chagford below, with Meldon Hill and Padley Common opposite. Walking across the top of Nattadon Common, I met a road and bore right, continuing straight ahead to find a bridle path junction, where the road bends to the left. I turned sharp left onto the footpath here, signposted to Great Week and Yellham. The path split, and I took the left fork, which dropped down quite steeply. Whilst I've been spending my last few days here in Dartmoor, I've been staying in a travel lodge. Now, this particular travel lodge was in a village called Widden Down, which is only a few miles north of Chagford. And the travel lodge was really nice. I know they're all the same. Wherever you go in the country, once you're inside a travel lodge, you could be in absolutely any travel lodge in the country. You wouldn't know the difference. But I like what they are. I like them. And Premier Inns, they're very similar. You go inside, you get a private room, big bed and a nice ensuite bathroom, so certainly for me as a solo traveller they suit me down to the ground. And the one at Widden Down was really nice because I like the staff there. The staff were really friendly and helpful. The only unfortunate thing was on my first night I was woken up several times by other guests that decided to chat outside the front door in the early hours of the morning. I looked at my watch the first time and it was about 10 to 4 in the morning, and these guys were talking and laughing loudly, so I was a little bit put out about that, and that happened about 2 or 3 more times throughout the early hours of the morning. So I did speak to the staff about it after I got up the following morning, and they apologised, and I said, well, it's not your fault, but perhaps you can have a word with these people. And apparently these guys were workmen who basically were working throughout the night but were sleeping in the daytime, hence the reason why they were up talking in the early hours of the morning. So never mind. I will certainly stay at Widden Down again next time I come to Dartmoor. Keeping the hedge bank on my left, I descended to reach a narrow path at the bottom, and the route passed through a gate into a wood. Eventually, I turned left at a footpath junction, following the route signposted to Wescott. I climbed a stile and descended steeply to a stream, which I forded and ascended to cross another stile. Bearing right, I reached a farm track and followed this to reach a road. I turned right and followed the winding lane past Wescott Farm on the left. I then bore left at a junction and passed Aidley House. Within 100 yards there was a footpath on the left, which crossed 2 fields from corner to corner. Emerging onto the main road, I turned left, then in 100 yards turned right onto a footpath leading to a lane at Rushford Bridge, dating back to at least the 17th century. Rushford was one of many medieval manors on Dartmoor, and is mentioned in the Domesday Book as Risford. Crossing Rushford Bridge, I took the footpath on the left, signposted to Chagford Bridge. I was now following a very gentle and pleasant path beside the River Teign. This is also a section of the Two Moors Way, a long-distance footpath linking Dartmoor and Exmoor. Enjoying a walk in the country, along with music, good food and good beer, are the greatest joys in life for me. Now, when I was staying in the Travelodge in Widden Down, I found a really nice local pub called the Post Inn. Now that was excellent. It was a nice local pub, it was very friendly, and I went in there the 2 nights I was staying in the village. The food menu was a very basic pub grub menu, but that's what you expect in a pub. But it was really nice, and I would say this was slightly above average in a lot of other pubs. Both nights I treated myself and had a starter and a main course, prawn cocktail both nights. I'm sure that there were other starters which were equally as nice, but because I enjoyed the prawn cocktail the first night, I thought I'll have it again the second night. And for the mains I had a really nice lasagna, and the next day I had the steak and ale casserole. But the staff were friendly. The lady behind the bar, I don't know whether she was the landlady, she was nice, and particularly the second night I was greeted really warmly because she remembered me from the first night, as well as some of the locals. And the waiting staff were nice too. There was a young girl that waited on me the first night, she was friendly, but I have to say the guy that waited on me the second night, he was particularly friendly, and he was warm and made sure that I was well looked after. So that really makes a difference in customer service to me. So next time in Dartmoor, I shall stay in the Travelodge at Whittendown, and I will certainly use that post inn as my local place to eat and drink. The path beside the River Teign eventually ended as I reached Chagford Bridge. The bridge was built in 1244 on the site of the ford from which the town takes its name. Once on the main route north from Chagford, the bridge is now on a minor road to Gidley and Sandy Park. Leaving the Two Moors Way, I turned left to cross Chagford Bridge. As I followed the lane, I was on the last leg of my walk, so it was just a short stroll back to Chagford. And so ends another great walk here in the wonderful Dartmoor. Well, it's time for me to leave now, sadly. But before I leave Chagford, I'm going to treat myself to a quick drink somewhere, quick half in one of the local pubs. I do hope it's not too long before I return to Dartmoor.